the stick turning into a serpent, leprosy coming to my, God is with me, and all of a sudden I go to do the thing that God told me to do, and the thing didn't get better, it got worse. That's how it is. You get your life cleaned up, you get everything together, and you know that God is with you, and it really didn't seem as if things got better, but it seemed as if it got worse. Higher levels of storms, obstacles. But watch this, watch this, watch this. Watch this. At this point, and I'm going to get ready to close. Watch this. Watch this. Follow me. Pharaoh, in his anger, tells them, take away the straw from them. Follow me, y'all. So that they can work harder than what they've been facing. But the enemy didn't know that what he meant for evil, God meant for good. Let me explain why. Because you remember in the beginning of Exodus, in Exodus, the first chapter, the Bible said that the children of Israel built treasured cities unto Pharaoh. So their job was to build the enemy's house. But when God moved in their life, the first miracle that God did went unseen. But it was the greatest miracle that he had ever did. He goes to Pharaoh. God said, let my people go. Pharaoh says, take away the straw. So now, the children of Israel are unable to build the house of Pharaoh. What then shows us is that the thing that God was doing is that when he operates in your life, even at the point when you can't notice him, you can't recognize him, and it seems as if everything is getting worse, behind the scenes, the life plan that you were building before, you were building the enemy's house. You were building the kingdom of darkness. But when God intervened in your life, you switched taskmasters. He takes away the strong so you can no longer build the house of the enemy. You are now dedicated to build the house of God. He takes the strong. It looked as if their prayer went unanswered. But he takes the straw so that they could no longer build the enemy's house. And that is how you know the hand of God is upon you. Because at the point when he's on you, trust me, he is then using you to build the kingdom. And yeah, you may have issues and you may have to fight certain things, but trust me, your life has been redirected from you building the enemy's house into you building his house. He takes the straw. They can no longer build the enemy's house. They begin to complain because they don't recognize what God is doing behind the scenes. They felt as if their prayer was unanswered because they couldn't see what God was doing behind the scenes. But how many of you know the greatest thing that God is ever doing is when we can't notice what he's doing? Takes the straw so they can no longer build Pharaoh's house. The enemy thought he was, aha, I'm going to make it tough for you. But God was using it so that they didn't have to build his kingdom no more. This is why we experience what we experience. This is why what the enemy meant for evil. Somebody say, God meant it for good. God meant it for my good. And this miracle is very interesting because says they walked in the miracle that they didn't see. Oh, y'all follow me, y'all. They got mad at Moses. Y'all watch this. They got mad. The children of Israel got mad at Moses. They got mad at him because they felt as if he made their situation worse. But it was just that they couldn't see the revelation of what God was doing. And they couldn't see the miracle, and they were frustrated because of the miracle they couldn't perceive. But they were actually experiencing a miracle that was right before their eyes. And that's how sometimes God blesses you with the greatest miracle. Sometimes the greatest thing that God has given you is right next to you. Sometimes the greatest thing that God has given you is right there in your face. Sometimes the greatest thing that God has given you is the same thing that seems as if gives you the most problems. Sometimes the greatest thing that God ever gives you is the thing that gives you the most conflict and gives you the most frustration. But in the back of what seems as if has gotten worse, it is the greatest and primary miracle that he is going to do. They complained about Jesus. They wanted to kill him. They didn't understand that the same Jesus that you spit on, the same Jesus that you beat, the same Jesus that you betrayed is the Emmanuel, the God walking, the healer, the water walker, the one that can rebuke demons, the one that created the beginning and the end, the same Jesus that they couldn't perceive as being the Son of God, because they couldn't see the greatest miracle in their midst, and they killed their miracle that walked with them. Lord have mercy. Please, this is why we have to dwell in the presence of God, because when you dwell in his presence, the Spirit reveals truth. See, God will show you a blessing that looks like a curse. Ooh.